In the sun-baked badlands of Arizona Territory, where the Colorado River carved through red rock canyons like a serpent's vein, Jack Harlan rode alone, a man forged in the fires of the frontier. A former Union scout turned bounty hunter, with a scarred face from a Comanche arrow and a cold peacemaker that had saved his hide more times than he could count. At 35, Jack had seen enough blood and betrayal to make most men turn tail, but he pressed on, chasing whispers of gold in the Superstition Mountains. His horse, a sturdy bay named Rusty, picked its way along the riverbank. The water roaring below after a rare monsoon flash flood, the afternoon sun hung low, casting long shadows over the mesquite and saguaro. Jack wiped sweat from his brow, his Stetson tilted against the glare. He'd been riding hard from Tucson, dodging Apache raids and Mexican banditos, when a distant cry pierced the air. At first, he thought it was a coyote's wail, but it came again, human, desperate, urging Rusty forward. Jack crested a ridge and spotted the source. A figure thrashing in the swollen river, caught in the current's merciless grip. Without a second thought, Jack spurred his horse down the embankment. The river was a beast, foaming white and churning boulders like dice in a gambler's hand. The person, a woman, he realized as he drew closer, was enormous, her limbs flailing with the strength of a wild mustang. She must have been near 7 feet tall, her black hair plastered to a face etched with Apache features. High cheekbones, fierce eyes, and skin bronzed by the desert sun. Her buckskin dress clung to her muscular frame, and she clutched at a submerged rock, her grip slipping. "Hold on!" Jack shouted, dismounting and uncoiling his lasso. The woman locked eyes with him, dark, unyielding orbs that held no fear, only defiance. She was no ordinary damsel. This was a warrior, perhaps a daughter of the Chiricahua Apaches who roamed these lands. The current tugged at her, threatening to drag her under. Jack looped the rope around a sturdy cottonwood trunk and tied the other end to his waist. He waded in, the water icy and brutal against his legs, grabbed the rope. He yelled, tossing it toward her. She missed the first throw, her fingers numb from the cold. On the second, she snatched it, wrapping it around her forearm with a grunt, pulling with all his might. Jack hauled her inch by inch toward the shore. The river fought back, slamming him against rocks, but he dug his boots into the mud. Finally, with a heave that strained every muscle, he dragged her onto the bank. She collapsed, coughing up water, her chest heaving. Up close, she was even more imposing, taller than him by a head, broad-shouldered like a blacksmith, yet graceful in her exhaustion. "You, white man," she rasped in broken English, her voice deep and resonant, "why save me?" Jack untied the rope, catching his breath. "Didn't seem right to let the river claim you. Name's Jack Harlan." "You?" She sat up, wringing water from her hair. "I am Nita, daughter of Chief Taza." Jack's blood ran cold. Chief Taza was a legend among the Apaches, a cunning leader who'd evaded the U.S. cavalry for years, raiding settlements and vanishing into the canyons. Saving his daughter could mean salvation or a quick death. Before he could respond, hoofbeats thundered from the ridge. A band of Apache warriors crested the hill, rifles raised, faces painted for war. Jack's hand instinctively went to his Colt, but Nita raised a palm. "No. He saved me." The lead rider, an older man with a weathered face framed by eagle feathers, dismounted. His eyes, sharp as a hawk's, scanned Jack before softening on Nita. "Daughter," he said in Apache, then switched to English. "You are safe?" Nita nodded, standing tall despite her ordeal. "This man pulled me from the water, father." Chief Taza turned to Jack, his gaze piercing, white eyes. "You have my gratitude. The river spirits favored you today. What reward do you seek?" Jack hesitated. Rewards from Apaches were rare and often double-edged. "Just glad she's alive, Chief. No reward needed." Taza's lips curled in a knowing smile. "All men seek something. Come to our camp, we will talk." Reluctantly, Jack agreed, mounting Rusty and following the band through hidden trails into a secluded canyon. The Apache camp was a marvel. Tents of hide and brush blended into the rocks, with women tending fires and children playing under watchful eyes. Warriors eyed Jack warily, but Taza's word held them back. That night, around a crackling fire, Taza shared venison and stories. Nita sat nearby, her presence commanding. She was no fragile flower. Tales whispered of her prowess in hunts, felling elk with a single arrow. Jack learned she'd been scouting when a flash flood swept her horse away. As reward, Taza said, his voice grave, I offer you alliance, but more, knowledge of the Lost Dutchman's mine. Jack's heart skipped. The Lost Dutchman was frontier myth, a gold vein hidden in the superstitions, guarded by Apache curses. Prospectors died chasing it, their bones bleaching in the sun. Why me? Jack asked. Taza leaned forward. White men desecrate our lands, but you saved my blood. The mine's gold could buy peace, or war. Use it wisely. He handed Jack a tattered map, etched on deerskin. Follow this, but beware, outlaws seek it too. Victor Kane and his gang know of Nita's scouting. They may follow. Victor Kane, a ruthless killer Jack had crossed paths with before, wanted for stagecoach robberies and murders. This reward was unexpected indeed. A ticket to riches, laced with danger. As dawn broke, Jack prepared to leave, but Nita approached. I come with you, white man, father commands it, to ensure you honor the gift. Jack protested, but her stare brooked no argument. Fine, but call me Jack. They rode out together, an unlikely pair. The grizzled bounty hunter and the giant Apache warrior. Nita's horse, a spirited pinto, matched her size. She moved with the land's rhythm, pointing out hidden springs and edible roots. Conversation flowed haltingly at first, Jack sharing tales of the Civil War, Nita of Apache legends. Beneath her stoic exterior, he glimpsed vulnerability. Her mother's death in a raid, her role as Taza's enforcer. By nightfall, they camped in a dry wash. Stars blanketed the sky like scattered diamonds. Why so tall? Jack asked, poking the fire. Nita chuckled, a rare sound, spirit gift, or curse. Men fear me, Apache and white alike. Not me, Jack said softly. Their eyes met, a spark igniting in the firelight, but peace shattered at midnight. Gunshots echoed, shadows moved in the darkness. Kane's gang, 6 hard men on horseback, had tracked them. Ambush. Jack yelled, rolling for his rifle. Nita sprang up, bow in hand. An arrow whistled, dropping the lead rider. Jack fired his Colt, the peacemaker barking lead. Bullets whizzed, one grazed his arm, drawing blood. Kane, a hulking brute with a scarred lip, laughed from atop his horse. Hand over the map, Harlan, or the squaw dies. Nita charged, her knife flashing. She tackled a gunman, her strength overwhelming him. Jack shot another, but Kane dismounted, pistol aimed at Nita's back. Drop it. Kane snarled. Jack hesitated, then complied, but Nita twisted, elbowing her captor and grabbing his gun. Chaos erupted. Fists, knives, gunfire. Jack dove for Kane, tackling him to the ground. They rolled in the dirt, trading blows. Kane's fist connected with Jack's jaw, stars exploding in his vision. You think you can take Apache gold? Kane hissed. Jack headbutted him, blood spraying. Grabbing a rock, he smashed it against Kane's temple, stunning him. Nita finished the last outlaw with a swift arrow. Panting, they stood amid the bodies. You fight well, Nita said, bandaging Jack's arm with strips from her dress. You too, he replied, admiration blooming into something deeper. They buried the dead shallowly and pressed on, the map guiding them into the superstitions. The mountains were a labyrinth of jagged peaks and treacherous canyons, haunted by tales of ghosts and guardians. Days blurred, scorching heat by day, chilling winds at night. They evaded rattlers and flash floods, sharing stories that bridged their worlds. One evening, atop a mesa overlooking a sea of cacti, Nita confessed, Father sent me not just for the map, to see if white man has honor. Jack took her hand, large, calloused, yet warm, and you do. Their lips met under the sunset, a kiss fierce as the desert, but danger lurked. Scouts reported more of Kane's men rallying, drawn by rumors of the map. Jack and Nita reached the marked spot. A hidden cave behind a waterfall, its entrance concealed by boulders. Inside, torchlight revealed veins of glittering gold, nuggets scattered like forgotten stars. It's real, Jack whispered. Nita nodded. But gold brings death. Father knew this. As they gathered samples, shouts echoed outside. Kane had survived, leading a dozen reinforcements. Surround him, he bellowed. Trapped, Jack and Nita barricaded the entrance with rocks. Bullets ricocheted. Smoke from gunfire filled the air. We fight out, Nita said, stringing her bow. Jack loaded his rifle, Together, they burst forth, a whirlwind of lead and arrows. Nita's size made her a target, but her agility dodged bullets. She felled 3 with precise shots. Jack's peacemaker roared, dropping 2 more. Kane charged, saber drawn. You stole my prize. Kane swung wildly. Jack parried with his rifle but, then fired point blank. Kane crumpled, eyes wide in shock. The remaining outlaws fled, tails between their legs, victorious but weary. Jack and Nita emerged into daylight. Back at the Apache camp, Taza awaited. You have the gold? Jack presented a pouch, enough for peace talks with the army. No more raids. Taza smiled. The true reward is not gold, but alliance, and... He glanced at Nita, who stood close to Jack. My daughter's heart. Jack blinked. Sir? Nita grinned. Father's unexpected gift, me, as your wife, if you accept. In that moment, amid the canyon's echoes, Jack realized the river had given him more than a rescue. It had forged a bond unbreakable. He took Nita's hand. I do. Their union bridged worlds. Apache wisdom and frontier grit, they built a ranch in the valleys, raising children tall and strong, guardians of the land. The gold funded schools and truces, turning enemies to allies. But whispers of the mine faded, a secret kept, as Jack and Nita rode into sunsets, their love a legend of the West. Years later, travelers spoke of the giant Apache woman and her white husband, heroes who tamed the wild with courage and heart. And in quiet moments by the river, Jack thanked the fates for that fateful cry. The year was 1875, and the Arizona Territory was a powder keg of tension. Apaches clashed with settlers. The U.S. Army patrolled restlessly, and outlaws like Victor Kane preyed on the chaos. Jack Harlan, a man with a past as checkered as a poker deck, navigated this world with wary eyes and a quick draw. Born in Kentucky, he'd fought for the Union in the war between the states, earning scars and a distrust of authority. After the war, he drifted west, bounty hunting for a living. His latest mark had led him to the banks of the Colorado River, where the water ran swift and treacherous after recent rains. Rusty, his loyal bay horse, snorted as they trotted along the sandy shore. The river's roar drowned out the calls of distant birds, and the air smelled of wet earth and creosote bush. Jack's mind wandered to the rumors he'd heard in Tucson, a lost mine in the Superstition Mountains, rich with gold guarded by Apache spirits. He dismissed it as saloon talk, but a part of him yearned for that big score to retire on. Then came the cry. A piercing wail that cut through the din. Jack reined in Rusty, scanning the water. There, midstream, a figure battled the current. Long black hair whipped in the foam, and powerful arms thrashed against the pull. It was a woman, and not just any woman. Even from afar, her size was astonishing, taller than most men, built like a frontier legend come to life. Jack didn't hesitate. He leaped from the saddle, shedding his gunbelt to lighten his load. Hang on, he shouted, though the words were lost in the rush. He grabbed his lariat from the saddle horn, secured one end to a gnarled juniper tree, and plunged into the river. The water was a living thing, cold claws gripping his legs, trying to drag him under. He swam with powerful strokes, the rope his lifeline. The woman saw him approaching, her dark eyes locking onto his with a mix of surprise and determination. She was Apache. That much was clear from her features and the beaded necklace glinting in the sun. Take the rope, Jack yelled, tossing the loop. She grabbed it on the first try, her grip like iron. Pull, she commanded, her voice strong despite the ordeal. Together, they fought the current. Jack hauled back, his muscles burning, boots slipping on slick rocks. Inch by inch, they made it to shallower water. Finally, he dragged her onto the pebbled bank, where she lay gasping, water streaming from her soaked buckskin dress. Up close, she was even more impressive. Standing, she towered over Jack's 6-foot frame by at least 6 inches. Her shoulders were broad, her arms corded with muscle from years of riding and hunting, yet there was a feminine grace in her movements, a quiet power that commanded respect. Thank you, stranger, she said, her English accented but clear. I am Nita, of the Chiricahua. Jack Harlan, he replied, wringing out his shirt. What happened? Horse throw you? She nodded, pushing wet hair from her face. Flash flood, my pinto was swept away. I am scout for my people. Before Jack could ask more, the ground vibrated with approaching horses. from the canyon rim, a group of Apache riders appeared, their ponies kicking up dust. They were armed with rifles and bows, faces stern. Jack tensed, hand hovering near his discarded gunbelt. "Friends of yours?" Nita stood tall, waving them down. "Father." The lead rider, a man in his 50s with a face lined by sun and battle, dismounted swiftly. His headdress of eagle feathers marked him as a chief. "Nita. We saw the flood marks, are you hurt?" She embraced him briefly. "This man saved me." The chief turned to Jack, his eyes appraising. "I am Taza, chief of this band. You have saved my only daughter. The spirits smile on you. Come, share our fire. We owe you a debt." Jack knew better than to refuse. Apache hospitality was sacred, but so was their vengeance. He gathered his gear and followed, Rusty in tow. The camp was nestled in a hidden arroyo, protected by natural rock walls. Teepees dotted the landscape, smoke curling from fires. Where women prepared meals of corn and dried meat, children paused their games to stare at the white stranger, while warriors whispered among themselves. That evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, Jack sat with Taza and Nita by the central fire. The chief passed a pipe, and Jack took a puff out of respect. "You are brave, Jack Harlan," Taza said. "Many white men would let an Apache drown. Why did you not?" Jack shrugged. "Seen enough death, didn't need to add to it." Taza nodded thoughtfully. "My daughter is precious, she is our future, strong, wise. For your deed, I offer a reward." Jack waved it off. "No need, chief, glad she's safe." But Taza insisted. "It is our way, the reward is knowledge. Long have my people guarded a secret, the path to the Thunder God's gold, what you call the Lost Dutchman's mine." Jack's interest peaked. The mine was no myth to him now. Prospectors had died for less. Why share it with me? "Because you proved honor, but beware, others seek it. Victor Kane, the outlaw, has spies. He tortured one of our scouts for hints." Victor Kane. A name that sent chills down spines from Texas to California. A former Confederate raider turned bandit, Kane was known for his cruelty, leaving no survivors in his wake. Taza produced a map, drawn on soft leather with symbols of mountains and rivers. "Take Nita as guide, she knows the way." Nita's eyes flashed. "Father, I can go alone." "No," Taza said firmly. "The white man earned this, and perhaps more." Jack and Nita set out at first light, the map tucked in his saddlebag. The journey into the superstitions was arduous. Steep trails, blistering heat, and the constant threat of ambush. Nita proved invaluable, spotting water holes and avoiding rockslides. Her height gave her an advantage in scouting, climbing boulders with ease. As days passed, they grew closer. By campfires, Jack shared his past. Losing his family to a cholera outbreak, his wartime regrets. Nita spoke of Apache life. The freedom of the plains, the pain of encroaching settlers pushing them from ancestral lands. One night, under a full moon, tension boiled over. "You stare at me like I'm a freak," Nita said, stirring the stew. Jack blushed. "Not a freak, impressive, strongest woman, hell, strongest person I've met." She laughed, a deep, melodic sound. "In my tribe, strength is life, but men see only the giant, not the woman." Jack moved closer. "I see both." Their kiss was tentative at first, then passionate, the desert night witnessing their union. But romance was short-lived. On the fourth day, they spotted dust clouds, riders on their trail, Kane's men. Nita confirmed through her spyglass. They pushed harder, reaching a narrow pass. There, Kane's gang caught up. 8 riders, guns blazing. "Give up the map!" Kane shouted, his voice echoing off the walls. Jack and Nita took cover behind rocks. She loosed arrows, picking off 2. Jack's rifle cracked, felling another, but numbers overwhelmed them. A bullet creased Nita's leg, and Jack was pinned. In a desperate move, Nita charged, her war cry shaking the canyon. She wrestled a gunman from his horse, snapping his neck with raw power. Jack used the distraction to shoot Kane's lieutenant. Kane retreated, yelling threats. "This ain't over." Wounded but alive, they bandaged up and continued. The cave was near. A fissure hidden by a cactus grove. Inside, the gold gleamed, walls sparkling with quartz and ore. "Father was right," Nita whispered. "It's here." As they mined nuggets, Kane returned with reinforcements. the battle was fierce. Explosions from dynamite, Kane's men threw, arrows and bullets flying. Jack took a hit to the shoulder, blood soaking his shirt. Nita, raging like a bear, fought off 3 at once, her knife dripping red. Jack crawled to Kane, engaging in a brutal fistfight amid the chaos. "You'll never have it," Jack growled, landing a punch that broke Kane's nose. Kane pulled a hidden derringer, but Nita's arrow pierced his hand. Jack finished him with a shot to the chest. The outlaws scattered, defeated, returning to camp. Taza greeted them as heroes. The gold would fund weapons for defense or negotiations for land, but the unexpected reward? Taza's blessing for Jack and Nita's marriage. "You saved my daughter twice. Once from river, once from heart's loneliness," Taza said. Jack and Nita wed in Apache tradition, under the stars. Their life became a blend of cultures, a homestead where Apaches and settlers traded, children learning both ways. The mine's location remained secret, its gold used sparingly for good. In time, Jack reflected on that river rescue as the pivot of his fate, a chance act leading to love, wealth, and peace in the untamed West.